All right, everyone, welcome back to the Land of Chem. I am your host and the author. My name is Jeffrey Drum. Thank you all so much for joining me again. All right, everyone, welcome back. This is Sunday Site Visit 71, and today we will revisit the Red Pyramid of Dashur in preparation for and anticipation of a massive series of research episodes coming up soon regarding the function of this miraculous structure. If this is the type of content you're interested in regarding the ancient technology of a lost civilization, utilizing physics and chemistry, and the function of the Egyptian pyramids and other ancient structures from across the world, this is the channel for you. So please subscribe to the Land of Chem here on YouTube, and don't forget to click that little notification bell so that you do not miss the new episodes that premiere twice per week. Please like, comment, share, and stay tuned if you want to help support this channel and get access to exclusive research and unreleased footage that you will not see anywhere else. Check out the Land of Chem members only channel and thelandofchem.com if you want to pick up a copy of the book or grab some merch. Links in the video description below. If you want to follow me on Instagram, my handle is @thelandofchem. Also, don't forget, after you finish watching this video, please go subscribe to our two new channels here on YouTube, Egyptian Trash Cats, for all you cat lovers out there, and Let's Go with Lex and G, formerly Egypt Eats, for food reviews and other international travel-related content. Ladies and gentlemen, as always, thank you all so much for the support. I think that is it for today's intro, so without further ado, let's get right to it. And just a quick reminder, the second 2024 Land of Chem Ancient Alchemy and Ascension Tour is on, and a few bookings are still available. But the deadline for reservations is coming up soon at the end of August, and the time to make moves on this is now. So if you are interested in coming to Egypt to see the pyramids for yourself, including special permission access to Abu Sir and a private entry into all three chambers of the Great Pyramid of Giza at night, during this epic adventure experience coming up in early winter later this year, please send me an email to contact@thelandofchem.com with the subject line Egypt Tour 3, and I will send you the full tour itinerary and pricing details. Thank you all so much, and I will see you soon here in the Land of Chem. All right, everyone, here we go with tonight's episode. Now, to begin, in order to fully understand what you are about to see in the subsequent series of Sunday site visits and research episodes, I highly recommend getting caught up on the immense body of work that I have proposed regarding the function of the Red Pyramid, including episode 19, Pressure Capabilities of the Red Pyramid, the chemical analysis of the Red Pyramid staining part 1, part 2, and part 3. The Red Pyramid Fluid Dynamics Experiments, Part 1 and Part 2. One of my all-time favorite episodes, number 66, entitled Were the Pyramids Painted?, discussing the remarkable properties of calcium copper silicate, otherwise known as Egyptian blue, and presenting the chemical analysis of the Red Pyramid external chemical-resistant coating compound that you are about to see today. Episode 85, Ancient Ammonia Applications, explaining the role of aqueous ammonia in crude oil processing. Episode 89, Missing Components from the Red Pyramid, and Episode 99, High-Temperature Reactions inside of the Red Pyramid. All of these episodes are featured in an extensive playlist that includes all 23 videos and Sunday site visits that I have produced regarding the function of the Red Pyramid. So whether you are a new subscriber or an OG viewer, it is critical that you get caught up to speed on what I have hypothesized thus far. As in the upcoming series, we will be moving from Chemistry 101 with the manipulation of temperature and pressure into the sophisticated and highly advanced fields of acoustic sonochemistry and electric field chemical engineering within the Red Pyramid. So now, before we proceed with tonight's Sunday site visit, I woke up this morning to an amazing surprise and perhaps one of the greatest honors that I have received since I began my work in 2017. a full episode by Andrew Hall featured on the Thunderbolts Project channel, presenting the merits of my hypothesis. I have been a huge fan and proponent of the electric universe theory and its primary contributors, Walt Thornhill and Andrew Hall, for more than a decade. And I am so unbelievably proud that my work has not only made it to their attention, but it was compelling enough to warrant this tremendously supportive video. So welcome to all of the new subscribers from the Thunderbolts channel, and a massive thank you to Andrew Hall for recognizing the land of Chem. I'll put a link to this episode in the video description below. And now, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, I hope you enjoy Sunday Site Visit 71, my return to the Red Pyramid. All right, everyone, welcome back to yet another Sunday Site Visit. I think we're on 71 now, which is an extraordinary achievement. And today, we are back here in Dashur, and I'm standing on the north side of the Red Pyramid, the place where it all began. The foundation of my entire body of research regarding the function of the Egyptian pyramids started here with my quest to understand the inner workings of the reaction chambers inside of the Red Pyramid. And I'm very excited to be back here today with some new equipment. And we're going to do a detailed investigation of some areas of the structure that are of particular interest for some ongoing works in progress. Smoking the warped Black Holmina today. My lovely wife, Alexa, with me as always. All right, and I know I have a lot of new subscribers here on the channel, so I'm going to show you some things that you might not have seen before, but you should certainly go back and watch. Specifically, episode 66, entitled "Were the Pyramids Painted?" and episode 85, Applications for Ancient Ammonia. So my hypothesis regarding the function and product of the Red Pyramid is that this structure was designed to manufacture an aqueous solution of ammonia. And in episode 85, I discussed the role of aqueous ammonia in the processing of crude oil for the production of products like bitumen. And here in the distance is a Calda Petroleum and Apache Oil joint venture facility in which they process crude oil and natural gas, methane. And if you could look far enough into the distance, I can see the tip of the step pyramid here to the north. And of course, in episode 125, I presented my hypothesis regarding the function of the step pyramid as related
to the extraction of bedrock methane deposits and the pumping and distribution thereof. So of course, no surprise, we have here in Dashur this crude oil and natural gas processing and distribution facility located right next to your ancient aqueous ammonia production plant. And for those of you that aren't familiar with my story, during my first research expedition to Egypt in 2017, the first stop on our itinerary was Abu Sir, where I stumbled across the red quartzite conduit and collection bowl, a component of that pyramid system that completely changed my understanding of the operation and intent of these pyramid structures, directly indicating the production and collection of some sort of chemical fluid compound. Our next stop was here in Dashur. And at the time, I didn't know that we were going to get to go inside of both the Red Pyramid and the Bent Pyramid, which you can see here in the south in the distance. And upon descending into the internal reaction chambers of the Red Pyramid for the first time, I was immediately greeted with the perplexing staining covering the inside of these reaction chambers. And as we proceeded toward the final synthesis chamber, the intense smell of very pure chemical ammonia got stronger and stronger. And my experience at these two sites inevitably led to the development of my hypothesis that the Egyptian pyramids were designed to produce a series of chemicals. Chemical engineering on an industrial scale. And as usual, there is nobody out here in Dashur today. And I wanted to present something that will be a topic for an upcoming research episode. And we'll get to the capstone here in a second. This quote-unquote replica capstone. Yo! I thought she was right behind me. My wife Alexa over there recording for her channel, Ancient Odysseys, if you want to see things from a little bit of a different perspective. Here on the eastern side of the pyramid, you can see the remains of a mud brick structure, a dynastic era addition to the site that is believed to have been built on top of the remnants of the original foundation of the Red Pyramid's Eastern Temple. And this area would have been within the reservoir enclosure. And I'll show you an unusual component over here that I have proposed is the reservoir inlet that delivered water into the structure. And when we go inside, we'll see the termination of that reservoir inlet where the water was introduced into the internal reaction chamber system. And I'm not sure if you can see that, but here in the distance is that called a petroleum Apache oil facility. I can see it, but you probably can't see it in the distance. The step pyramid there to the north. Here you can see a field of rubble, the majority of which are casing stone blocks that will remove the exterior of the pyramid. And here on the eastern side is one of the only areas where these casing stones are still in situ. And so now we're going to take a look at the coating compound that was discovered on some of the remaining casing stones that once covered the exterior of the Red Pyramid, as presented in episode 66, Were the Pyramids Painted? And we have a chemical composition analysis of this material from samples that were taken by my colleagues at the Osireion project. And we're going to take a look at this red coating compound now. And as I just mentioned, this will be a topic for an upcoming research-based episode. So here, this is a piece of casing stone. And you can see the perfectly flat, finished surface. And if you look closely here, you can see the coating compound. This layer here and this reddish material covering the surface of the block. And you can see the line here where it was applied over the edge of the block. This would have been the exterior surface of the pyramid, and it was applied to the block before the block was set in place. This would have been another block sitting on top, so you can see it's been applied over the edge. Again, the coating compound has a slightly reddish color and a very rough texture. Here you can see another piece. Coated with that same material. And I'm going to walk around this area and show you a few other flat surfaces of casing stone here that were coated with this reddish coating compound. You can see it here on this piece. It's a red paint. Here you can see the foundations of the original temple structure. Here's the mud brick, and this is original foundation of the temple that was here first. Here's another good view in the sunlight so you can see the color of the compound. And there are several pieces here that all show traces of this red coating compound. And samples of this compound were taken from several in situ blocks on the casing stone. And I presented all of the sample locations in episode 66, where the samples were taken from the surface of these casing stones and samples from these blocks here. And chemical analysis was performed, revealing that this coating compound is a mixture of 3 primary ingredients: silicon dioxide, sulfur trioxide, and aluminum trioxide. So it appears that the red pyramid of Dashur may have been painted red. And this compound is remarkable for several different reasons. First, it contains solid sulfur trioxide. And for any of you that have been following my work, know that sulfur trioxide is one of the intermediary products of the Great Pyramid of Giza. Within that structure, in its gaseous phase, but here we see sulfur trioxide in its solid form. We also have silicon dioxide and aluminum trioxide. And you can see here what is said to be the replica capstone. And they have pieces of the original casing stone that are set into this concrete mold. And you can see here that there's a few edge pieces There's an edge piece here. And if you look, you can see this red coating compound is on these casing stones as well. And in episode 66, I compared this silicon and sulfur copolymer to a modern coating compound that is made of sulfur trioxide and a compound known as dicyclopentadiene. You can see here the layer of the coating compound that is applied to these casing stones, the same red compound. And this modern coating compound has a number of unique properties, including corrosion resistance, specifically in regard to solvents and acids. And second, it is a self-repairing coating compound that if cracks form in the material, the application of heat will repair those cracks. A self-repairing, chemical corrosion resistant coating compound. And all of those applications should be sounding very, very relevant to the topic at hand. And you can see a few more edge. There's an edge piece here. Again, this is the modern concrete. These are the original blocks. Here's another piece where that coating compound is really visible. And you can see the edge here. So again, this coating compound here, you can see another edge block where it was painted over the edge here. Yeah. The surface, the overpaint, yeah, and the exterior casing. So quite a remarkable chemical compound. Again, silicon dioxide, solid sulfur trioxide, and aluminum trioxide. Before we leave this area, let me over here. I always found the placement of this particular mud brick piece to be pretty unusual right here. Just kind of stuck into the side of the casing stone. And this is the same location on the eastern side of the pyramid, directly in the center, that we have found pits or inlet shafts at almost every other structure. Great Pyramid of Giza has a pit on the eastern side in a similar location. The final pyramid on the Giza plateau also has a huge pit right up against the casing stone on the eastern side. And I believe this to be the area where the reservoir inlet would have introduced water into the internal reaction chamber systems. And here in a moment, we'll go inside. So you can see the termination of that inlet where the water was injected into the structure. Kono كويس. All right, once again, I did too much yapping and not enough smoking. So I'm gonna fire this thing back up, and then we're gonna take a walk around the full exterior of the perimeter, and then we're gonna head inside. All right, and I'm glad we came around here, because check this piece out. Here's a corner piece of casing stone. So we're here on the southwestern corner. And look at this one. A beautiful piece of casing stone right here. Check this out. Again, this is an edge piece. You can see the flat surface here, the paint on this side, and you can see the red coating compound. Looks like this is actually an edge piece, like one of the corner pieces that would have gone here on the edge. It looks like an edge piece because there's, again, you can see traces of it here that would have coated this whole side and this whole side. And remember, we're looking at a compound. Sulfur trioxide, silicon dioxide, and aluminum trioxide. This is a beautiful piece. All right, you ready?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
Yalla bina. الساعة كم؟ الساعة كم؟
الساعة 3.
3؟
3
اوكي.
وربع. 3 وربع.
خلاص 4؟
4.
Okay, okay, okay. All right. Yalla bina. All right, and there's another interesting feature about the red pyramid that is unique to this structure that I'll get to in the episode that will focus on the coating compound, which is that the interior core masonry of the structure is highly permeated with iron oxide. So now we're looking down the northern inlet and pump shaft. All right, let's go.
All right, we're going to make the descent. Follow me down the descent.
Now, normally, I would go down this thing backward. It makes it so much easier to descend down into the structure going down backward, but I'll do this for your entertainment and amusement purposes so you can see the process of entering the structure. And you'll notice here this air shaft, or this air pipe on the right that goes all the way into the final synthesis chamber. Of course, it's not really doing anything because it's coming apart in multiple places, but the intention of that air pipe is to try to bring air into the final synthesis chamber. And I think they're trying to get rid of the smell. And you can see here the red color, which is iron oxide. I'll stop here in the areas with light so you can see the color. So on the outside of the structure, we have a perfect example of ancient chemical engineering and chemical compound manufacturing. You have to imagine how many hundreds of thousands of gallons of this coating compound they would have had to make to coat the entire outside of the pyramid. Hundreds of thousands of gallons of paint. Direct evidence of an immense chemical manufacturing operation to produce this compound of silicon dioxide, sulfur trioxide, and aluminum trioxide. All right. And here, I don't know if you can hear that. Yo. Yo. The echo. Carrying all the way through the structure, even from here. This is important. And there's so many reasons that I love this structure and why I wanted to come back here today, because this is a primary blatant example of chemical manufacturing and intentional design in this structure, because it has all of the components. So we have chemistry 101, manipulation of temperature and pressure. And then we have advanced chemical engineering and chemical manufacturing with the application of acoustic propagation and electric field chemistry. Oriented external electric fields within the structure that drive the chemical reactions, not only within each chamber, but also through each chamber into the subsequent reactor. And here, there's a pit at the bottom of the northern inlet and pump shaft. And we've found the same configuration in the Pyramid of Wunis, the Pyramid of Teti, the final pyramid on the Giza plateau. They all have evidence of a pit here. And good friend of the channel, John Sage, has proposed, and I agree with. So in my original hypothesis, I proposed that the inlet was actually inside of the primary reaction chamber. But John and I both agree that this area was most likely the inlet, where water from that opening on the outside of the structure would have been introduced from the reservoir through the shaft that terminates here, injecting water into the internal reaction chamber system. And I've discussed this before, that there's a 45-degree angle here, which would have fit perfectly with the pump. So as the pump came down the northern inlet and pump shaft, it would have sat flat on the block, the angled 45-degree block, as the pump reached the bottom of the shaft. Because if they had left this piece here at a 90-degree angle, the pump would have eventually destroyed that 90-degree angle. So it was intentionally engineered to have a flat 45-degree angle. And I'll pull up some of the slides from previous episodes that show exactly how that component would have fit. And I wanted to come back down in here today because I will be readdressing a number of features of the Red Pyramid in a series of episodes coming up soon. And just looking back up, waiting for my wife. All right. And Alexa has the flashlight, so I'll wait for her to get down here. We are now inside of the primary reaction chamber. All right, so now we got some light. I'll show you a few things. So coming in this direction, from the inlet and pump shaft, you can see a pattern that moves in to the chamber. You can see a wave pattern here, crashing up against the southeastern corner of the chamber. This wave and flow pattern and goes back down here. continuing along the bottom of the chamber, and then crashing up again into the northwestern corner of the chamber. And John and I have been working together on a series of experiments on the function of the Red Pyramid with some scale models that I presented here on the channel in a two-part series, Red Pyramid Fluid Dynamics Experiments 1 and 2. So we put the water injection into the pit at the bottom of the northern inlet and pump shaft and injected water into a container with the same dimensions as the lower part of the primary reaction chamber. And we found the exact same fluid dynamics flow pattern that you can see here in that experiment, where the water flows into the chamber here, crashing up into this corner, back up again into this corner as the chamber fills with water. And now that we have some light, you can see the extrusions and staining inside of this reaction chamber. And there's also some very significant flow patterns and staining density changes that are indications of the chemical reaction sequence that once occurred inside of these chambers. So here on the northwestern corner is your methane inlet shaft. And you'll notice that this concrete filled hole is at the exact same level as the top of your northern inlet shaft. And step number one in the operation of this structure is filling the chamber to this level with water. That water would have filled the connecting shaft here and the northern shaft here, which isolates this reaction space. So air and gases can't go out or in to this reaction chamber. Water filling this entire portion of the chamber. The methane gas is then introduced into the chamber, and you can see that there's a staining pattern with more accumulation of staining here emanating directly from this inlet shaft. The water was then raised, compressing that water-insoluble methane gas into the upper portion of the reaction chamber. You can see how dense and black the staining gets starting at the third tier. First tier, second tier, third tier. Same thing over here, first tier, second tier, third tier. There's a significant change in the density and color of the staining And you can see that as you get to the top of the chamber, it's completely black up there. And for those of you that are new to the channel, if you're interested in more details about the operation of this structure, I have a full playlist entitled The Red Pyramid, where you can watch all of the videos that I have produced regarding the function of this structure that include the fluid dynamics experiments thus far. So now we'll proceed through the connecting shaft into the secondary reaction chamber.
All right, everyone, that is it for today's video. This was Sunday Site Visit 71, my return to the Red Pyramid. I really hope you enjoyed today's video, and in the next episode of the series, I will be presenting my hypothesis for the function of the newly discovered void located above the Grand Gallery of the Great Pyramid of Giza. If this is the type of content you're interested in regarding the ancient technology of a lost civilization utilizing physics and chemistry, and the function of the Egyptian pyramids and other ancient structures from across the world, please subscribe to the Land of Chem here on YouTube. Click that little notification bell, like, comment, and stay tuned. If you want to help support the channel, check out the Land of Chem members only channel and thelandofchem.com. Links in the video description below. If you want to follow me on Instagram, my handle is @thelandofchem. Also, don't forget, after you finish watching this video, please go subscribe to our two new channels here on YouTube, Egyptian Trash Cats, for all you cat lovers out there, and Let's Go with Lex and G, formerly Egypt Eats, for food reviews and other international travel related content. Ladies and gentlemen, as always, thank you all so much for the support. I think that is it for today's episode, so I will see you next time.
Yo, are you still watching this? Please subscribe to the Land of Chem here on YouTube and click that little notification button. New videos coming out every single week. And check out this other episode. Come on, do it. Do it now.